Hello, world. I'm Don West Jr., and I'm the founder of Knock Out the Stigma, KOTS, and I'm also the creator of the Wellbeing Exchange. That's what we're making this video for today. And I have a special guest with me today. Very excited to have him with me, Cedric Wells. Cedric Wells is a Los Angeles resident. He is a volunteer for the County of Los Angeles Department of Mental Health, and he is here with us today. What's up, Cedric? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How about yourself?
I am amazing. I am amazing. So I'm trying to figure out how we're going to do these because this is a peer profile. And normally if we were doing this and this wasn't COVID, this is in the middle of COVID-19. It's October 18th. If you're watching this video, today is October 18th when we're recording it. It's COVID-19, so we can't be in the studio. So if we were in the studio, Cedric would be sitting on the couch with me. We'd have the Knock Out the Stigma sign behind me, and we'd be chopping it up on the couch. But I'm still trying to figure out how to put this format together, Cedric, but I thought it'd be cool if you could tell everybody how we met, how you and I met. Do you remember how we met?
Yeah, first of all, well, once again, I'm Cedric, and the way we met was, I guess it was about 4 years ago. It was at this, it was this mental health place called West Central, and then on top, they had this life coaching group, and I was part of the group, and also he was part of the group. So basically, that's how we met, through the life coaching group that they had at West Central, which is also.
So if I don't know if you saw the video that I did with Tracy, but this is the next video, right? And I was talking about that very first experience because if I'm not mistaken, your first day of life coaching at West Central, we call it the little red brick building sometimes. Your first day was my first day. I don't know if that's actually 100% right, but I think it was your first day and it was my first day. And so we started together, or we started very, very close to at the same time. And then we transitioned from our original coach to our new coach. And so we went from Dr. Walker's group to Marilyn's group, and then we graduated out of Marilyn's group into Wellbeing. So I was looking like to talk to you about a little bit about each parts of those journeys, because we went from being in Marilyn's group, and that was a really cool experience when she took over from Dr. Walker, and then we graduated into the wellness program, and there was like a separation because we were losing our coach. But that's when we got the opportunity to become volunteers. So I'm kind of doing like a foreshadowing of everything so people know what happens. But, 4 years ago we met, and we were sitting there, and we had, we were doing what's called postmodern coaching. Dr. Walker, he wrote a book, and his whole philosophy is kind of centered around language and neuroplasticity and postmodern coaching. And the big thing is you have to have a project. That's one of the things that he wanted us to do. He wanted us to have projects. And in the last video with Tracy, I was talking about your first project, Cedric, and tell people what your first project was and how you approached it.
Well, yeah, my first project was, I was at the age of 50 years old, and I never, I drove, but I never had a legal driver's license. And when the Dr. Walker talked about the, get a project, and I thought about, that I don't have a driver's license. So what happened was eventually Dr. Walker left, and I continued with Marilyn continue. She helped guide me through the project. In other words, the project continued. So eventually I ended up getting my license. I ended up getting my driver's license.
And so if you remember when you were going through that process of the steps to get your driver's license, do you remember how that helped keep you out of the cave? And what we call the cave, so everybody knows what we're talking about. The cave is when you're in your mind, in your own thoughts, when you're caught up inside your head. How did your project help you? How did that help you when you were doing the steps to get your driver's license from being in your head?
Well, actually, it helped my self-esteem. It helped me, to believe in myself and have more confidence. Because I thought, from actually being also being a recovering alcoholic and addict, my self-esteem was low. I didn't think I was, was smart enough, or I didn't think I was good enough to have a driver's license. So when I got that project, when I completed that project, and on top of that, I failed the driver's test twice.
Oh, you never told me that.
Yeah, so I failed the driver's test twice, and on the third one I test, but the whole time, Coach Marilyn was, she was there through the whole process.
That's really dope. So the other thing that I think is really cool about it, I mentioned this in the last video too when I was talking with Tracy. I don't know if you know, Tracy's up in Oregon now. She's not in LA anymore. Yeah. She's up in Oregon. That's what's cool about this Zoom thing, right? So just like I'm talking to you, I was able to talk to her, but she's in Oregon, and you're in LA right now. I'm in LA, but that's cool. But anyway, my point is, the last video I was saying, you talked about, you had a job out in Malibu, right? The place was out in Malibu, right? And Malibu was not really close where we over on South Central and Windsor Hills. So the whole point is, you couldn't have had that job in Malibu if you didn't have a driver's license. And you always talk about you had a mentor that helped you get that job. And I always thought that was really cool, because mentorship is really important. You got to have somebody that's helping you out and giving you guidance. And you even mentioned a mentor to me. I think the last time we talked, yesterday or 2 days ago, you were mentioning the guy that ran the program that got you the job out in Malibu.
Yes, there was, I had a mentor, which was a retired deputy sheriff, who I met through being in the county jail, and he had this program. So when he retired, he was able to do more, help us more, and he had this group. Matter of fact, 7 days after I got my license, when I got my license, my mom gave me her old car, and then as soon as I got the car, I ended up working. My mentor, he referred me a job in Malibu, this place called Calamigos Ranch, and I worked there for 4 years. So everything, and on top of that, I never really kept a job that long either. So it was great. The whole. And it started with the project. and went from that project to
what's so crazy is, like, I was talking to Tracy, and I'm going to tell you the same thing. I remember, I made a mistake in my head. I was in my cave, right? You were sitting there, you were talking about your project. In my cave, I was having my own conversation. Nobody could hear it. I was just sitting in there. It was two of us on a chair, but there was both me. and I was like, did he just say he doesn't have a driver's license? And I was like, he looks like he's about 50 years old. But this is what happened in my mistake. And when my brain, I told you this before, I thought you had never driven a car before. I was like, wow, this guy has never driven a car. But you're like, no, I was just riding dirty. I didn't have no license, dog. I was just driving without no license. But I made that mistake. And then the cool thing is, nowadays, you've given me so many different rides at important and critical times. And then we started volunteering together. And because you did that project and you did that inside work that you had to do all the things to get that license, you're giving me rides all the time. You got a job at a beautiful place, at a beautiful ranch out in Malibu. And you have the ability to do these things now. You couldn't do anything right now that you're doing if you didn't have a license. So it's all about you doing the work. So that's what I think is so cool about our connection. And we've stayed connected. You stayed connected to me. That's really cool.
Here, I thought it would be nice to insert a flashback to our peer profile number 2 with Tracy Williams, where I share with her a little bit about projects and my recollection of Cedric and our first day together in life coaching when he shared about his project. So here it is, flashback to peer profile number 2 with Tracy Williams.
One of the things that we're sharing with you guys, and one of the things that we do in our practices as coaches, is we do something called postmodern coaching. And one of those things is that you have to give yourself a project. That's how you get yourself out of the depression and out of the funk. And you give yourself projects, and you move yourself forward through your projects. And so one of the things that I see is that Tracy's describing one of her projects, and one of the steps that she had to do was to do the studying in her project that kept her from being in a funk, that kept her from not taking a shower, that kept her from sitting around thinking. And she was doing the YouTube videos, she was doing the steps and making the progress. And that's what we do in our coaching. And Tracy is a coach, I'm a coach, we live it. We have our own coach, Coach Marilyn. And we're all following the example of another coach, Dr. Walker. And so I did all that because I remember my very first time going to life coaching, Tracy. Our good friend Cedric was in the class, right? And it was his first day too.
Yes.
And we started talking about our projects. And Dr. Walker was the coach at that time. And Dr. Walker asked us to say what our projects were. And I always remember Cedric, because he's older than I am. I'm 46 years old, and Cedric's older than I am. And Cedric said his project was to get a driver's license. And I was, it just always baffled my mind.
Okay, I remember that in Maryland's class.
Right?
And I remember that. Yes, yes.
The coolest thing is he's always driving me around these days, right? He just gave me a ride the other day. And so he has a car and he has his license. And he's like the Michael Jordan, the coach MJ. He's her number one pupil.
Yeah.
Like he's her assistant. He's doing all this stuff, and so it's really cool. And then you say you're doing the thing that you dreamed of. You dream, you started working on your projects and bringing about your dream from 30 years ago. You said so. It's possible. That's one of the things I want everybody who's watching our video. It's possible.
Yeah.
And when we went into the wellness program, I remember when I went to the wellness program. Tell me what your experience was when we went into the wellness program and they told us we could no longer be with Coach Marilyn, because some people go through this experience where they have a mentor or a person that's helping them, and then they graduate out. They have to move on. It's a transition, whatever it is. They have to move to a different location, a different geography. When they told you had to go to wellness and you were going to be not any longer with Maryland, tell me a little bit about what you were thinking. What was that like for you?
I think that was tough because, after, being on Maryland's caseload and her working with her and her helping me get through a lot of things, helping, it was kind of tough for me to, I didn't want to let go. I didn't want to leave Maryland. I wanted to continue to, to work with Maryland. But the thing is, she saw that it was time for me to move on, which was, recommended me to get the fact that because I was working, I was trying to get my high school. I was in the process to get my high school diploma, and she felt that it was time for me to move on, and which was a good thing. It was one of the best things to happen is to be part of wellness, because what it showed me was that it works. It worked. I came in West Central with a whole different perspective on life, and now the way I see life is I have a whole different perspective on life. So it was almost like it's time for me to be a mentor.
It is. That's why we're making this move. We're making this video right now, brother, so that people can get some of your mentorship.
Right. So let me give back you know, what worked, and was just so grateful to be a volunteer.
This is a real mentorship moment. You just said it's time for you to be a mentor, right? And I know your story because I've heard you speak and tell your story several times, and you just touched on it, but you graced over it. So I'm going to bring us back. I'm going to take everybody for a U-turn. So Mr. Wells, tell the people, when you first came to West Central, tell the people what you was in your mindset, what you was trying to do. And then you said you got something, you said now you have a whole different mindset and a whole different approach because you came there. And you've told me before, I don't know if you want to share it, but you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because this will help people because they're in the same situation you were 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah. Well, what happened was when I came in, my whole intention to get involved with mental health was just so I could find a way to get SI. You know, I'm gonna tell them whatever I got to tell them. And in my mind, I thought that I didn't even have any issues. In my mind,
you was like, you was coming in, you said, I'm coming in for the hookup because I heard I can get the hookup over here.
Yeah, get SSI, get housing, and, you know, tell them what they want to hear. And
so you was coming to run a game on the red brick building. That's what you was coming to do, right?
I came in there to run the game and get, you know, and then something happened once. I think it was
what happened, brother?
I started being able to start, you know, I think the turning point for me was Maryland, you know, having the one-on-ones and then realizing, you know, that I do have issues, that I did suffer some, you know, some trauma from when I was a child. And here it is, I'm 50 years old and I'm holding on to things that happened to me when I was 5 years old or 10 years old, and, you know, and so what happened was I started to be able to get honest with myself, and just, I realized it was time for me that I was in a place with someone that was, that had a passion that was real, it was, you know, and I said, wow, this is, it gave me an opportunity to really, you know, share the truth about what was really going on.
A lot of people might not know what we're talking about, so they might not have met Marilyn or Coach MJ. I like to call her Coach MJ because her last name is Jung, Marilyn Jung. So Coach MJ, she works in private practice now, but when we met her, she worked in a little red brick building in South Central Los Angeles. And that's how me and Cedric met her, and she's an amazing life coach. So if you like the stuff you're hearing and you like what we're talking about, there's an opportunity to get some life coaching with Coach Marilyn in a virtual sense, because she has a virtual life coaching group that both me and Cedric participate in. That's on Mondays. The next one's going to be November 9th, but it's usually on the first Monday of the month. But this next one is going to be on November 9th. So it's limited space, so that's available. So Coach MJ is an amazing life coach, and she's helped both me and Cedric in our journeys of recovery and our journeys of truth. And so I just wanted people to know who we were talking about, Cedric. I didn't want them to just be like, who's this man? Who is this Marilyn? If you want some of this, there's some links and some stuff so you can find Marilyn. You can get what me and Cedric are talking about. She's not a mystery person. She's a real person, and she's helped us a great deal, and we have a lot of respect. So namaste, Coach Marilyn, because she's bomb diggity dog.
Yeah, actually that was, and also part of being a volunteer was had the opportunity to help her with her groups, and that was like a dream come true, to be able to help, you know, this person that helped me get through so much. And there's even things now that she, you know, she taught us, she taught me and you, that stay on my mind. So it's definitely you know, it's a trip. It's just it's amazing. I came in that building for one thing, and I got so much more. You know, I got a chance to really work on myself, you know. So yeah, it was great. I didn't realize how important it is it went from, oh, I have to go to this group to now I want to be part of this group. You know?
That was
Because
really a cool.
I want to be in this group. I want to, raise my hand and participate, and that was like a turning point too.
I had the same turning point in my own mood and my own approach, but I want you to tell people, because you had a different experience. I want you to tell people, you remember watching me when I first started coming to group and all the way through when I became a volunteer. So tell people what I was like when I first started becoming the group and how I was like when I became a volunteer for Maryland after we went on to well-being, if you remember.
Well, it was, he was, when I first met Don, it was almost like, I didn't even know he was in group because he was quiet, he was also, he was there for a reason too, he was there for a whole different reason. He was there because, he didn't want to be there either at first.
And I just want everybody to know, because I want them to understand what we're saying, right, Cedric? So when I first started going, I went for my own reason. I went because I was to get a little card signed to send back to the Florida bar, right, so that I could show them that I was doing the BS that they said that I had to do to be in compliance, because they said that I had to demonstrate some sort of command and control over myself. So I was there for that. So go ahead, keep telling the story, bro.
Yeah, so basically, there's a lot of people in group were in group because they were trying to get what they wanted to get taken care of. But part of it was they had to be in group. But with Coach MJ, it goes from you want to be in group. It went from I can't wait to the next group. So it was like even seeing you was like a psychic change. You being a volunteer, and and then I went to the process of me being a volunteer. Just wanted to give back because they actually coming through there helped save my life. It's not the building; it's the people who work in the building.
It's not the physical structure itself. It's the people inside, and their hearts and their love and their kindness that generates the community, right? That's what builds it up. Right. And that's why we had our whole little crew of everybody that was all about what you just said. It was about the people, and it was the connection between the people. It didn't have anything to do with the building.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I thought was really important that you shared, and that I just want to echo, is that my attitude changed. About, I ended up going from Los Angeles to South Orange County, and South Orange County, for people that don't know, is a really far distance from the red brick building. But instead of having to be there by force, I wanted to be there voluntarily, and I wanted to be a part of what Marilyn was doing and what Cedric was doing. And so I continued to volunteer, and I continued to come up that long distance so that I could be a part of this awesome experience that was life coaching and the relationship group and all the different groups that Marilyn had going on at the Red Brick Building. As a volunteer, I was volunteering my time, but I was getting fed more myself than the stuff that I was doing to assist with my volunteer duties, Cedric. That's what was so awesome about it. And we talk about it sometimes, and you can even see it with Coach MJ. It seemed like she was getting hyped up and more out of doing the group than all of us getting the help in the group. And so the really cool thing is, so now starting November 1st, everybody, November 1st, Sunday, we're going to kick off the week with a well-being tune-up. And we're going to do life coaching. Cedric and myself we're going to fly out on the alone, and we're going to start our own life coaching group on Sunday nights from 7 to 9, starting November 1st. So we hope you'll all join us. And my last thing for you today, Cedric, is do you have a parting shout? Do you have a kind word? Do you have a thing that you want everybody to know? What's your last thing for the people today before we turn this camera off?
I think one of the most important things is in life is, is relationships, and being a part of the group, the life coaching group. I build relationships with people I normally wouldn't talk to, but yeah, and just it's staying connected, you know, because the truth is you're not alone, and yeah, it's just and it's so important to, you know, to give back, to share my story, and what happens is the group keeps me. It feeds me, you know. It just eats, you know. Just being part of a group is just I think it's awesome. It's a beautiful way to where you're not alone, you know. So.
Master volunteer Cedric Wells, ladies and gentlemen, from Los Angeles, California. The next time we get together on the couch, we didn't even touch on this. This man ran the Los Angeles Marathon, 26.2 miles. So the next time we get together, this is a teaser. You guys got to hear about how he ran the Los Angeles Marathon, and you ran the marathon for the people in the red brick building, like you just said. Isn't that true, sir?
Yes, you know, I didn't until you know, after working with Coach MJ, I think she's most of the time the first person that I'll mention. I said, you know, I'm gonna think about running the marathon, and eventually I did it.
26.2 miles. He did 26.2 miles, and he
Yeah.
did that. He ran those 26.2 miles so that all of us out here would know that we're not alone. He just told us it's about relationships. It's about building community, staying in contact. And that's what we've done. I have a lot of respect for you, brother, because you stayed in contact with me over all these years. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us in this video. We invite you guys to more well-being on our website, www.wellbeingex.org. One more time, that's www.wellbeingex.org. This is Mr. Cedric Wells. I'm Don West Jr. Thank you guys for being with us today. Hopefully you'll get a little bit more well-being and step in to a new day and a new life. As always, ladies and gentlemen, namaste. Boom. And that's a wrap.